Have you heard the news? Hummer is coming to Australia. That's right, they're going to sell this H3 model, the smallest of the trio, starting July. Now what does Hummer mean to you and me?
When I think Hummer, I think about Desert Storm commandos invading foreign countries with tank battalions in tow. Or I think about gangster rappers like 50 Cent and Puff Daddy, or even Hollywood trash like Ashton Kutcher.
Neither of those play much in Australia. So what's it going to mean to Australians? Hummer, if it's going to succeed, has to fall back on its core strengths. It has to be the toughest off-road vehicle. But at the same time, it's got to be good on-road. Now on the outside, this Hummer looks visually impressive.
And it's not hard to see why. With boxy lines that make a house brick look slick, a grille that'd blind the sun, and those massive rubber balloons at each corner, this Hummer is nobody's shrinking violet. And it's that overt aggression which has made Hummer the poster child for environmental groups with axes to grind. Need an evocative example of fuel wastage? Try Hummer. What about pollution bandits or wasting resources? Grab a Hummer. Or ruining nature's beauty? Yep, Hummer. The truth is, Hummer is none of that. Its fuel consumption compares favourably with its rivals, it's lighter than a Land Cruiser, and Hummer as a brand promotes the tread lightly approach to bush driving as much as the next group. But what about its size then? It's massive and clearly bigger than it needs to be, right?
So it may surprise you to know that it's actually smaller in some measures than the Ford Territory. Now this model we're driving here is actually representative of the mechanical spec we're going to get in Australia. It's got a 3.7 litre 5-cylinder petrol engine hooked up to a 5-speed manual transmission. There's an optional 4-speed auto, and all Hummers are full-time 4-wheel drive. First thing you notice about the Hummer is it's got a very firm ride. I don't know how that's going to go down on Australian roads, but over here, a bit too firm. And it's under damp too, so on some of the undulations you get that kind of skipping along like waves at the beach. The engine's also not the gruntiest I've ever driven, but you've got to remember that this Hummer is a heavy vehicle. It's 2.2 tonnes plus. There are a few creaks and rattles in the car that we're driving here. In fact, when you get right down to it, NVH levels are nowhere near the Land Cruiser and Pajero that this car has got to compete with. But if we are talking brass tacks, people are not going to buy it because of its on-road refinement. They're going to buy it because of the Hummer legend, because it's off-road king. The question is the H3 deserving of a title that was won by the H1, the Big Daddy? Well, let's find out.
Hummer laid on a tailor-made driving course for us with interesting obstacles like this 3-wheel slip test, a 12-inch step climb, particularly steep bitumen hill climb, and this man-made car twister designed to stretch the Hummer to the limits of its wheel articulation. Combined with a little mud and an inexperienced driver, and the Hummer hesitates, but eventually pulls itself through without aid. Now that's all well and good, but what about more natural terrain like mud and bogs? And muddy river crossings.
Well, I don't know about you, but after that performance, I am convinced. And I'm going back for more.